Olivia Hill is a plumber, pipe fitter, welder, high voltage electrician, diesel mechanic, jet engine mechanic, boiler specialist, and made history last month as the first openly transgender person elected to public office in the state of Tennessee, securing one of 4 open nonpartisan seats on Nashville's Metro Council. Here's a bit of her campaign promotional material.
I'm Olivia Hill, and as a proud trans woman and a U.S. Navy combat veteran, I've never been scared of a tough fight. But right now, Nashville's under attack from right-wing conservatives who want to strip our rights and tell us how to run our city. We need leaders who will stand up to the bullies and protect everything we love about this community. That's why I'm running for Metro Council. Won't you join us?
Yeah, come on in.
Hey!
Hey there. First off, congratulations on being elected to the Metro Council.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for having me here.
Well, all right. I want your story, okay? Tell me, where did Olivia come from?
Well, the short version is I was me my whole life. I grew up as me. I felt like me. I wore dresses at home, and I used to mimic Flip Wilson, Geraldine from the Flip Wilson show.
Devil made you do it.
Yeah, what you see is what you get. And so I always felt like me growing up until age 10, and I wanted to start wearing dresses to school. And that's when I got to talk. And I was sent to a psychiatrist to teach me that I had to be a boy and think boy things and do boy stuff. And at the same time, I signed up for football, baseball, basketball, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and every other manly thing my folks think they could do to fix their broken child of the 70s. And then, so I went in the military. I served 10 years in the Navy. I did 3 deployments, 2 of which in the Persian Gulf. I saw combat in Desert Storm. And then I came out and started working at Vanderbilt, working at the power plant. I worked my way up until about 7 years ago. I tell people my egg cracked, and I couldn't live the lie of trying to pretend to be this boy anymore. I had to be my true, authentic self. And so I started my transition, and here I am.
Wow. Now tell me a little bit more about your military experience. Was that during Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
Well, it was actually before Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and then Don't Ask, Don't Tell came in because I went in 86 and got out in late 95. I was like 2 or 3 months shy of 10 years. But it was one of those things that I was beaten up pretty severely in boot camp. And so I felt like I had to really put on this tough male persona. I was just this tough guy, and I picked fights with people just so people would leave me alone. And so I just kind of went in under the radar as this just guy that was there. And I just hid me. I felt like I had to hide me to stay safe.
How sad, how sad. And you went to work at Vanderbilt. When did your interest in politics start?
Well, after I retired from Vanderbilt, in my transition, the very first thing that happened to me was the loss of my white male privilege. And I had no idea. And so I started fighting for women's rights, and I got heavily involved with HRC, Human Rights Campaign. I went to their annual convention in D.C., and one of their keynote speakers there was Danica Rome. And I got up and listened to her speak, and she asked if anybody had any questions. And she's kind of an idol to me. So I went up to the microphone and I said, Danica, I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for blazing a trail for so many trans people to come in behind to help and to help elected officials like you stay in office. And she put her hand up and stopped me. And I was like, oh no, Danica just corrected me in front of a room full of a few thousand people. And then she went like this and called me up on stage. And I got up on stage and she hugged me and she said, Olivia, if you want to make a difference, don't help elected officials, become one. We need more elected trans people. And so it was that moment in 2020, in March of 2020, that in DC that I made the decision to run. And so
tell us more about Danica. I believe I know she's the state representative in Virginia.
She is, but it's Commonwealth, so I don't think she's called state rep. I think they're called delegates. I think I'm not
correct.
I think it's called a delegate.
Yes.
And she is absolutely amazing. She was the first trans woman elected in the entire South. And she has really blazed a trail for so many of us trans folks and made a big difference for a lot of us and made it easier for people like me to run.
So that was just 3 years ago. What did you do when you got back to Nashville?
Well, I started trying to put together what I needed to do for a team, and I needed to figure out what my team was going to be like and what office was I going to run for. Where am I the best fit? So I started doing a lot of research and reaching out to people. I got heavily involved at the time with the judges race. It's when all the judges were running, and I started meeting all the movers and shakers of the campaign people and who was running and who was helping who, and just trying to introduce myself and network and build a team around me. It took me about a year or so before I finally settled on Metro Council at Large, which is to represent all of Davidson County, which is around, I think it's 750,000 people. So all of Nashville, Tennessee. And I thought with my expertise, that's the best fit for me. And it's a good place to start. I'm planning to go as far as they let me go until they tell me to sit down.
Now, it was an open seat. How many people were running for that open seat, those open seats?
Well, it's 22.
22 for 4 open seats.
Yeah, there was 22 people running for 4 seats, and it was kind of a scrap for a while. I learned so much. When I made all my political calls, going around and calling all the elected officials, and almost everybody told me the same 2 things: is one, Olivia, you're going to meet some of the nicest people you will ever meet, and 2, you have no idea how big Davidson County is until you start campaigning all over this 526 square mile county, and both were proved to be true. And I have met some of the most amazing people. I have actually made some really great friends, and some have turned out to be my close friends. So it's blast.
Of the 4, where did you rank?
4th.
Okay. Where was the 5th person close?
I think they were a few thousand votes behind me. So
very good.
It wasn't a landslide, but it wasn't by 30 or 40 votes either. But I got 44,400 votes.
Amazing. How long is your term?
4 years.
That's good. That gives you time to do something.
Yes. So I plan to run for 4 years. My big thing that I ran on is utilities and infrastructure. It's what I've done for almost 40 years. That and transit. I tell people that are old enough that Nashville really is Atlanta, 1983. If anybody remembers Atlanta, between 80 and 83, when Atlanta really struggled and they had some issues, and that's when they really started to kick off with their transit and their infrastructure growth. And they really, by 86, they really just skyrocketed. And so that's kind of, I think, where Nashville's at. We've got to have transit. We've got to ensure that our utilities and infrastructure grows at the same rate all of our buildings and our above ground is growing. And that's my expertise.
But are you on a committee on the council, or what's the structure of a council?
Yeah, so the 2 committees I'm on is government operations and then transportation and infrastructure, which I think is a perfect fit for me. So I think I was very lucky to get 2 good committees. I'm in a great place. I'm surrounded by wonderful people, and I've been welcomed very well. And it's just amazing.
You say you have some big goals about transit and the infrastructure. What do you see the first thing that is possible to get done?
Well, I'm really pushing for transit. We have a bus system, but our bus system does not run 24 hours. So I'm looking to meet with the mayor to move that to 24 hours and then add more routes. The other thing I'm doing is I'm going around and I'm meeting all the department heads. I'm meeting people at the steam plant. I'm meeting people at the water department. I'm meeting people at the bus, and I'm meeting all the department heads so I can find out exactly what their needs are of where I can better be suited to help them and help things move forward. But I really want to improve our infrastructure, especially our utilities, and then and make our transit 24 hours and then expand it to cover more areas. And I think all of those are very attainable within the first few years.
Being a metro area, I imagine that Nashville is a little bit bluer than some of the rest of the areas of Tennessee. What's the makeup of the council, Democrats to Republicans?
Well, it's a nonpartisan, but Nashville as a whole is around 60% Democrats, maybe 65%. And it's a pretty progressive area. It's a very beautiful, pretty color blue in this dark, ugly red state. And inside Davidson County, it's really a nice little bubble. It's great. I'm born and raised here. I'm a 4th generation Nashvilleian. And within the confines of Davidson County, it's pretty good. Now you step outside and you get some of these other rural counties, and things change pretty quickly. But Nashville as a whole is a great place to be.
We've talked to several drag performers from Tennessee and a few politicians and such. And your governor and your state legislature passed some laws there that some have been knocked down, but what's the process right now, or where do those stand, some of those laws?
Well, the bathroom bill that they passed, and then also the drag bill, have both been shot down, and those were both attacks at trans folks. And the reason why is a majority of Americans see trans folks as just men in wigs. They don't understand the process of what a trans person is, and so they attack the drag community, linking them in the same group with us, thinking that it was never about people dressing in drag. It was about trans people dressing in women's clothes. And so they thought that was their best attack. And so both of those were shot down. And then they came up with a House Bill 1440 and Senate Bill 00239 that states that it defines sex. And it's basically whatever you were defined as sex on your birth certificate when you were born is immutable and cannot be changed. Tennessee is the only state in the entire union that will not allow us to change our birth certificate. And so I think that is the foundation of how they move forward. Because if they come out next time and say next session and have a bathroom bill that says only men are allowed to use the men's room and women are allowed to use the women's room, that's not discriminatory. And it is be very hard to shoot something like that down because they've already built the foundation of what their definition of men and women are. And so that's when it will get kind of crazy and a little bit more. But I'm trying to push back all that I can. I'm a city council person at first. I'm going to put Nashville as my number one priority. But in my free time, I plan to advocate for the entire community as much as I can.
We've seen some change in Tennessee with the expulsion of those two state representatives and them being reinstated. Do you see that Tennessee might be turning a little less red?
Justin Jones, one of the Tennessee Three, was at the Three-Star Dinner, which is the big Democrat annual party that we have here. And in his speech, he made a comment that really kind of struck with me. And he said, "A dying mule always kicks the hardest." And I really feel that that's what's happening to the red state of Tennessee, is the Republicans are holding on with all that they can. They're trying as hard as they possibly can. And the more that it slips through their fingers, the tighter they try to grip and the more they try to fight. But the Tennessee Three is the greatest thing that could have ever happened to Tennessee because it woke so many people up. And so many people walk through life with their blinders on about how do I get to work? What bills do I have to pay? And they don't really pay attention to stuff outside. And that really brought stuff to the forefront. And a lot of people went like, wait a minute, no, I'm not going to stand for that. And so it woke a lot of people up. If you look at the race in Nashville, a majority of the people that had a female opponent lost to a woman. And so, I think a lot of folks just went down the ballot, and everywhere there was a woman, they voted for the woman first.
I know you're early in your 4-year term there. Do you see yourself running statewide eventually?
Yes, I hope so one day. I really plan to. We're looking at different things, and I'm really working at making Nashville one of the greatest cities in the entire Southeast. And once we do that and we move along, I run for at-large again and run another 4 years. Then I'm not sure where we go, whether we go for mayor of Nashville or state senate race. I don't know where we go. My main focus right now is just make Nashville one of the greatest cities in the South and work hard to fix all the broken parts and make sure people's needs are taken care of. That's my number one priority right now.
You mentioned that you met a lot of great people and you love the traveling around your county. Did you come up against any backlash or anybody come up to you and get ugly?
Not personally. Most of our hate that we had all came from online. It seems like these days it's very easy for people to say stuff online. They feel like they're protected from the screen and they can just reach out and say horrible, hateful things. But I was called sir by a few people at some of the polling places and some things like that. And but nothing really hateful or harmful. It was just you're really a man and you're not a woman and things like that. And I let stuff like that kind of roll off my back, just kind of move along. And some of the ones on the posts online on Facebook, I had fun with. It's like, thanks for coming by and making a comment, because every time you make a comment, Facebook thinks it's more important. So they send it out to more people. And so you think you're spreading hate, but you're helping a trans woman get elected. And they're like, no, that's not what I mean. I mean, And I'm like, and yet you came back again and again. The more you see this, so thank you. And I just really kind of twisted it around on them. Didn't get mean and hateful with anybody. I had a very positive attitude about everything that came my way, and know that as a combat veteran, I put my life on the line for every single person. Not everybody like me, every single person in this country. And how horrible a person would I be to say, I put my life on the line, and I fought for you, but I want you to think and feel like me. I mean, that's just not fair. And so everybody has their own opinion, and it doesn't have to be mine.
Oh, to change the subject, I see a drum set behind you. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of my midlife crisis. I played drums when I was in school, and then I kind of fell out of that and got into some other things. And so I decided to buy a drum set a couple of years ago, and I've really tried to kind of teach myself, and it's kind of my escape. I come in, I put some headphones on, and I play, and I pound the drums, and I don't think about politics or the race or anything else going on. I just kind of drown myself in the music and just kind of escape for a little bit.
Speaking of music, are you a big country music fan growing up there in Nashville?
I am a weird person. I am not a horrible, great country music fan. I like every kind of music, but I like everything from opera. I'm a huge opera fan, but I like country music. I like rock and roll, blues, jazz. There's really not a kind of music I dislike. So
Olivia, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I love your energy, your positivity, and what you're doing, and you're fighting the good fight. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be on your show and be here with you. It's so great. Thank you for all that you do for so many people in the community and otherwise.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you so much. It's great to meet and talk with you.